everyone. Welcome on back to another episode of the Goonery. We are here today to break down what's been a pretty crazy week for the NFL, and then get into how unfortunate this offseason has been for Major League Baseball. But first, Brandon, I want to wish you a late happy birthday. Got to witness LeBron drop 56 for your birthday. Hell of a gift, if you ask me. But right off the top, we just have to start with probably some of the biggest news out of the NFL in a while. Calvin Ridley has been suspended for at least the 2022 season for gambling on games.
Okay, so first of all, thank you for the late birthday wish. Appreciate that. But I think going with losing money at first, it's like, all right, it's funny. He missed out on millions by losing only $1,500. Okay, it's easy to, laugh at him because of that. But I have an issue with this suspension. Did he deserve a 1-year suspension? Absolutely. But I want to keep this in mind with some of y'all. Do y'all realize the NFL has had a horrible track record with discipline with the players? You mean to tell me a league that is in bed literally with these betting companies, and you expect that these players aren't making bets on behalf of their friends? Because let's be honest, they're probably not betting for themselves. They're probably betting for people, whether it be family, friends, or whatever. So that's an issue that I have, especially because literally you're kind of hyping people, not just fans, but you're kind of hyping your players to potentially get in on this stuff. And then we go to the discipline of the players, of how it's just ridiculous how you have players that have beat women, sexually assaulted women, and they get 5 games max. Or you even got Tom Brady, who to this day we don't even know if he's innocent or not with the flame game, but he only got a handful of games.
And like the one that everyone keeps going back to, and it's hard to not go back to it, is Ray Rice getting 2 games for a very, very public video of him, for lack of better terms, beating the shit out of his wife at the time in an elevator. I mean, Roger Goodell and the NFL, there's absolutely no consistency when it comes to disciplining their players. And obviously, gambling opens up a whole another can of worms. It's completely different in my opinion. And I think there's obviously guys who are doing it. Let's not kid about that. We all know in Major League Baseball, we know Pete Rose was doing it. In the NBA, we know MJ was doing it. Let's be completely honest. That's probably why he retired the first time. And it's just, if you're gonna do it under someone else's name. Do it through a bookie instead of one of the legal places you need to go, where you need your social security number, your address. And I don't understand his thought process. They're throwing it away for, I just think the funniest part was the tweet, "I don't have a problem. I only bet $1,500. It's like, yeah, man, like $1,500 for 11 million you're losing out on next year. I don't get it. And I will say, I don't know if you give the Falcons a pat on the back for not trading Ridley with all the rumors this offseason that teams were calling him the last couple months, and they knew that this investigation started in February, or if the Falcons are just idiots for not taking advantage of that. And this just continues the absolutely horrible track record that the Falcons tend to have with some of their star players, whether it's Michael Vick getting arrested for running a dogfighting ring, or I forgot who it was way back in the day where their Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee was arrested the night before the Super Bowl trying to solicit hookers. So, I mean, I don't know why that name is slipping me, but the Falcons just have some of the worst luck in all of football.
Well, you got to remember something. They are from Atlanta. Now, maybe, just maybe, it's not applicable anymore considering Georgia won, the Braves won, but it's literally the Falcons. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and downplay the Braves win the World Series or Georgia win the national championship. But considering, the Falcons did have Michael Vick at one point, and they were big contenders, but they ran into a buzzsaw in the Eagles. And then you have what happened a couple of years ago with the Patriots. You're just like, damn. if they win a championship, I think it would be so much more significant than any other sport. But I don't think it's gonna happen anytime soon. But going back to the whole betting thing, there are people, and when I say people, I mean my friends. They have literal group chats for literally betting. Who you gonna bet on tonight? Who's gonna get 25 plus points? Who's gonna get 10?
Hand up. I'm in multiple. And with legal gambling and not legal gambling, mobile registration is back in Illinois this week, where since I've turned 21, you've had to drive to sports books to register in person because they want to make it harder, because that's just how the state of Illinois works. And they don't whatever. That's a whole other podcast. But now the mobile registration is back. You bet your ass that all of my buddies were texting me, you get this promo code from this book, you get this one, you get this one. I put a $10 bet on the Nuggets the other night on BetMGM, and I got $200 in free bets. Of course, I'm going to take advantage of that. And it's like, all right, yeah, sure, $10 for 200, yeah, sure. Twist my arm, but it makes me wonder. Calvin Ridley see these commercials or the tweets or these promos and be like, damn, man, $25 cash back if I lose this one leg of the parlay. Like, fuck, man. I just I just have a hard time believing that a dude making $11 million is seeing these promos and being like, yep, I need to do that. Me, I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, $25 back. Take that any day of the week.
But you know something? If he's doing this for his friends, and you don't have the state of mind to at least send your friends the money so they can put the bets in, I'm under the impression he don't trust his friends enough to put those bets in. Okay, so if that's the case, you probably need some new friends, because that should be the most logical thing to do, you would think.
And it's like, this is kind of horrible to say, but if you are a professional athlete, I don't care what circles you run in, how innocent everything you do is, you need a fall guy. You need a fall guy, and that's horrible to say. But how is Calvin Ridley letting himself get caught? And I understand that people are upset saying that he was still watching football, gambling on football while he was away on a mental health break. That's bullshit. Let's not do that. I would say the only bad thing about this is the fact that Calvin Ridley thought he had the chance to win an 8-leg fucking parlay in the NFL, because that is damn near impossible. And the fact that he was betting on the Falcons. Now, don't get me wrong. Apparently, the week he was doing this was all in one weekend. The Falcons played the Jaguars and they won. So that's fair. And they haven't said what state these bets were being put in yet. And I've seen some things floated out there that Calvin Ridley may have been in Illinois placing these bets, visiting his brother Riley.
Well, I don't know why, because Riley, he never see the field. But anyways, I want to share something with y'all, because the 8-leg parlay hit a big trigger for me, because I'm like, you know something? I want to go back to school. And obviously, I can't save money. You see me on every episode with a different hat every day, every time. So obviously, I have a lot. So that means I spend a lot of money on hats, which means I'm probably not going to spend money on things I probably need, right? So I'm thinking, you know what? This season, I'm going to win me some parlays. I'm going to put it all on the line so I can win. So I can pick every single game from the week, and maybe, just maybe, I'm going to hit and pay my college off, win $76,000, give all my family something. I gave up week 5. Okay, yeah. You're not doing it. You're not, unless you have divine intervention. You are never going to win a 8-leg. No. 8-leg is too generous. Yeah. You may not even win 5. That's how hard it is. Because while we say sports is in bed with betting, I mean that literally and figuratively, because I feel sometimes something is in the works where things just won't happen for me. And I know I'm not the only one.
No, you're not wrong. And like, I've been told this. I have a friend one of my best friends actually, who I've known since I've been 5-6 years old. He's in the military right now. He is based in Japan, and he bets through, let's just say, an Italian outfit in Chicago. Okay.
Oh,
He has made more money gambling and on parlays than he makes in the military on a yearly basis.
no way.
I swear to God, there are people out there who make it profitable. He won 10 grand on Georgia winning the national championship.
Holy shit.
And there are people who can do it, but let's be completely honest. The average gambler is not doing it. And the best advice he's ever given me, because I keep track of my shit and I hit roughly about 50%, which is it's still generally above average, which is you're almost breaking even at that point.
Yeah.
But what he's told me is that the minute you start getting into a hole and you start trying to claw your way back with parlays is the only way you can guarantee you will keep on losing.
Yep.
And I do have a new drug, though, that one of my buddies has put me on to a couple of weeks ago, probably about a month ago. One of my good friends, he hit a $1 NBA first basket parlay bet, 5 legs that won him a little under 6 grand.
Wait. He hit on first basket for how many?
It was either 5 or 6 legs, and it won him a little under 6 grand.
What the hell? You know what?
$1, and he withdrew it, and he put it all right into his student loans.
I want that for me. Congratulations to your boy, but I want that for me. That's
Yeah.
Listen. May is coming very, very fast, and it's gonna get ugly when the payments hit. I
Yeah.
need that. I need. You know what? Stuff like this makes me want to get back into betting, but I have to realize I'm not smart enough to make those bets.
Neither is he. Neither is he. And do you want to know the worst part about that bet? We now have a group chat. I think there's 5 of us in this chat. We now have a group chat where someone sends, we call it $1 in a dream, because that was his first $1 NBA first basket bet he ever placed. And it was the first and only one he's ever won. And you keep chasing that high. And I really wonder how Calvin Ridley thought he was going to catch that high with $1,500 when you are a millionaire.
It's a rookie mistake. But you know what? I think I'm back in the saddle tomorrow. You motivated me. Listen. May's going to be here before I know it. Listen, I make a good fortune. I made a pretty good fortune, but damn it, I need some help. So you know what? I'm back in the saddle tomorrow. If you want to shoot me something that you think I'm gonna win some money on, please be my guest. Cause I need help. I'm not that smart. So please.
I will tell you what has become like as close to free money as it can be is DeMar DeRozan over 25 total points. And it just like it started out the year at plus money, and it's finally back to about -110, -120, and it's just okay, sure, I'll take it every night. But Jokic out in Denver, his over points total, his over assists total are just he's the MVP in my opinion. Like he is unstoppable, and he won me a lot of money the other night, and that bought my groceries this week. So thank you. But
well, I know who my favorite player gonna be if he delivered for me. So I'm counting on him.
Oh yeah. But Calvin Ridley, I guess we could say idiot. I feel bad saying it, but I was really hoping that there was a way that you'd end up on the Bears at this point. But there might be another wide receiver that I could see ending up on the Chicago Bears because of a big shakeup in the AFC and NFC West with the Seattle Seahawks blowing it the fuck up, sending Russell Wilson and a 4th-round pick to the Denver Broncos for Drew Lock, Noah Fant, Shelby Thomas, 2 first-round picks, 2 second, and I believe a 4th. And
I think so.
Despite all of that, I still don't think the Denver Broncos are a real contender.
Really? You know what?
I mean, just like if you think about it, if you think that do you think there's a possibility for the Broncos within the next, let's say, 3 years for them to be a top 2 seed in the AFC with how much of a juggernaut that division is?
So I'm not sure. I'm not because honestly, it's easy to say it now, but I do think the difference with when the new league year starts till maybe the beginning of May is gonna make all the difference. Because with a move like that, you gotta win something. You better win. You better win. And you better make sure that you surround Russell with all the pieces around him. Because when you think of Russell Wilson, he's a Hall of Famer. He's
Mhm.
he's an excellent quarterback, but he's also trending towards the back nine of his career.
33 years old.
He's 33 years old. He's a short dude, and once his legs are gone, his career is going to be on a downswing. So they gotta win in these next 2 to 3 years, or else the that window's closed. So Denver's got to do whatever it takes. And you know something? I may have ragged on John Elway. I may have ragged on the Broncos for just always getting the quarterback situation wrong. But one thing they have done always is draft good outside of everyone but the quarterback position. So maybe, just maybe, I have faith in them in that regard. But a lot could change from now until the beginning of May. And then I'll get back to you on your answer. But for right now, for how loaded the AFC is, I don't know, because they could end up being second in that division. Because no matter how great Justin Herbert is, no matter how good we think the Chargers are, we had the same conversation last year.
Yep.
A lot of people was having the same conversation last year about how the Chargers are going to overtake the Chiefs, or they're going to, make a far run in the playoffs. They even make the playoffs this season. So we really do not know.
No, I mean, I completely agree with that statement. But if you just look at the rundown of the AFC, I mean, you have Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Herbert, Lamar Jackson. I mean, Russell Wilson now. He's still technically there. Deshaun Watson, young guys like Trevor Lawrence, Mac Jones. The AFC is going to be the equivalent of what the Western Conference was with when the Lakers were good, when the Thunder were good, like when that whole era of the NBA. And it's just, then you look at the NFC, and it makes complete sense why Aaron Rodgers decided, yeah, I'm going to stay in Green Bay.
Yeah.
And is that going to make our life living hell for 4 more years? Absolutely, absolutely. But guess what? I mean, what else is new? You just have to, just comparison wise, quarterbacks, it's a quarterback driven league. We all know that. And I would not be surprised if the AFC just goes on a tear in the next few years and just Super Bowl after Super Bowl after Super Bowl, because it's hard to imagine the next 5 years without Mahomes getting one more, without Allen getting his first, without the Ravens potentially breaking through, maybe the Bengals getting back. You never know who the Steelers are going to end up having at quarterback, because they have all the talent in the world on that offense.
Yep.
And you don't know what Mac Jones could potentially go into. Trevor Lawrence. It's just, and then Herbert. I mean, I'm forgetting Herbert. Herbert is arguably a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. And it's very interesting to me too, because I would have loved to have seen Russell Wilson play with a Vic Fangio coach defense.
Yeah. But you know what? I think what the talent they have on defense, and potentially Von Miller returning, because he's hinting at it.
Yeah.
I think Nathaniel Hackett being there is perfect, because I think what the Broncos have been lacking for the past couple of years is a true offensive mind. They have no create. I mean, if you look at their offense, granted, no matter who you had a quarterback, no matter if it was Teddy Bridgewater or Drew Lock, that was really much creativity in the offense. Like there was nothing exciting about it except the names on the back of the jerseys. So in that regard, I do think they'll still be all right. If they have some more pieces on defense, they'll be all right. But you look at the NFC, you have Aaron Rodgers is the number 1 quarterback. Then there's Stafford at 2. Number 3 is maybe what, Dak Prescott?
I would say Dak, and then maybe Dak, toss up between Dak and Kyler. But the way Kyler fell off towards the end of the year, I don't know. And this is kind of off topic, but related to Dak Prescott. I don't know how true this tweet is, I'm sure I think you know the tweet I'm talking about. Dak and Amari Cooper spat where Amari Cooper called Dak Prescott the black Kirk Cousins, and I mean that's just disrespectful to Dak. I'm still a believer in Dak, but man, if I didn't laugh my ass off when I read that.
Hey, listen, not for nothing. Dak doesn't seem like a guy that would have said what he said at the end of the game in the press conference, saying that the rest kind of deserved shit being thrown at them.
Yeah.
So maybe, just maybe, he was speaking out of anger because of that spat. I'm just saying, I don't want to give any credence to that tweet because it sounds completely outlandish. It sounds like an onion tweet.
And it's just it was a faceless account with a Cowboy. I forgot what Cowboys player was.
It was a Dak fan account.
Okay.
But that's the thing, though. From a Dak fan account, you would think that I'm like, all right, I don't want to expose my favorite player by a receiver calling him out. So maybe, just maybe, it's true. Just maybe. But before we move forward, I do want to bring up something. Aaron Rodgers getting 4 years is a large indictment on Jordan Love. They don't believe in him. And let me tell you, there have been people that have been sitting there saying that the pick wasn't bad. And, you know, they knew they thought they had something. If you knew you had something in Jordan Love, this decision on Aaron Rodgers would not have been as difficult as it was for them.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have to bend over backwards and kiss his ass for him to come back if they knew he had something in Jordan Love. But now that is the case, because there was a report that came out that it's possible that Jordan Love will not get traded and will be on the Packers roster come opening day next season. But you have to trade him. What are you going to wait 4 years for him? Maybe 3, because we don't know Aaron Rodgers. He's one of the most confusing dudes on this fucking planet. But if you have Jordan Love on your roster, and he's going to be what, 6-7 years in? How many of his prime years are you going to have? You have to trade him and get something. And literally, you trade him, you get whatever in return. And guess what? Because guess what? We're an example that you get a gem of a receiver in the later rounds. Hello, Darnell Mooney.
Mm-hmm.
So if they don't trade him, the pick just makes even less sense than it did the night that they drafted him. So I don't know who could trade for him, because you really look at it, a lot of teams have quarterbacks, but there are teams that are in need of a quarterback, but are in need of a bridge quarterback. There's no one from this class is going to start week 1. So where do they go from here? Is there a team in the top 10, top 15 that's going to reach for one of those quarterbacks or reach for Jordan Love because they're in need of a quarterback? It's going to be interesting.
So yeah, back to the NFL draft and with how like people reaching, I think like the Carson Wentz trade today was as big of an indictment on how the league views this quarterback class than anything, for the fact that how poorly he played last year for the most part, that Washington was okay trading as much as they did for him and taking on his entire contract. Granted, if they didn't take on as much of the contract, I'm sure they would have had to have given up more picks. But you have to think, I mean, who's the number 1 quarterback in this draft? Is it Pickett? Is it Malik Willis? You don't know, and then it kind of falls off after that, because you have, I mean, guys like Sam Howell out of North Carolina, or Carson Strong, or Desmond Ritter,
Matt Corral.
Yeah, Matt Corral, I think is going to end up being the quarterback of the Saints, and I think that'll just make the whole South go crazy. But
yeah, definitely.
But I mean, there's still a ton of quarterbacks with a lot of uncertainty out there right now. I mean, you have the Colts seemingly have a quarterback position open. I don't see them rolling with Jacoby Brissett. I don't think he's a bad bridge quarterback, but I don't think that he is someone you move forward with as a franchise quarterback, and especially with how weak this draft class is, unless the Colts have a read, because the Colts have been very, very good at drafting, and I don't think Sam Ehlinger is their guy. Let's not. No, there's no way. Do they bring in Mitch Trubisky? Do they bring in Jameis Winston? Do they trade for Jimmy Garoppolo? Trade for Jordan Love?
Another name that came up is Marcus Mariota too.
Okay, I don't hate that. I think that You see, I think if he got another shot, so I think he's Mitch Trubisky with more games.
More ball control?
Yeah, maybe. I was gonna say is you kind of know more so what you're gonna get out of Mariota than you do Mitch Trubisky at this point. Because I think Mitch Trubisky being saddled in that Matt Nagy offense for as long as he was, you don't really know what you have in Mitch anymore at this point. And apparently Brian Dable, now head coach of the Giants, has been quoted saying things like Mitch Trubisky is going to get starter money. He's the type of guy you want your daughter to marry, just like blowing as much smoke up Mitch's ass. It sounds like that. You know what the marry your daughter quote reminded me of? It reminded me of everyone saying how great of a hard worker Mitch was because he drove a 97 fucking Camry. Like, who cares? Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I do want to see Mitch succeed and it just like rub salt in the wound of Matt Nagy even more. And I never had a problem with Mitch. I mean, I think it was very clear to Bear fans that it really wasn't his fault, going from John Fox, who didn't even want him, to Matt Nagy, who just completely fucked over his development. I think he'll get a starting job somewhere, but I have no idea how this is going to shape up the rest of the offseason, because let's break it down. The Steelers need a quarterback, and one that keeps getting linked to them that I've seen is Jimmy Garoppolo. But I've also seen Jimmy Garoppolo linked to the Colts. So I think that those are two guys where Jimmy is not – I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo is a bridge quarterback. I don't know about you, but I think Garoppolo is a competent, middle-of-the-road NFL starter who can win you games, but he can also lose you games. I agree. If that makes any sense at all.
Mm-hmm.
Is Houston going to roll with Davis Mills as their quarterback?
I think so.
I think they will. I think that – I mean, I think he showed some flashes this past year. I don't think he's anything crazy, but he enough confidence to roll in with Lovie Smith that I don't think that they're going to go out of their way to make a big splash in the quarterback market, unfortunately for Lovie. And then you just look at the rest of the league. Seattle seemingly is not going to roll with Drew Lock. Let's not kid ourselves. Do the Lions stick with Jared Goff long term? I know he has that big contract, but I don't think they will. And then another name that I just can't stop thinking about, as dumb as it may sound, Taylor Heineke. Are they going to let him be their backup, or is he going to want to go play somewhere? Because he's showing flashes as well.
You know, I can't believe I've done this, but I've tried, at least. I've gotten through to maybe Giants fans, but I'm trying to talk people in general to Mitch Trubisky. And every time I think about Trubisky now, it's not about him being drafted over Watson or Mahomes, the whole lazy, stupid-ass narrative that the media just tried to push for, the longest of times. I think about him after the 2019 season, having notes written down only for Nagy to stand him up. A guy that genuinely wanted to be better and wanted to fit the system that Matt Nagy was not willing to change for him. I see it with Mitch. I do. And it's crazy. It's crazy to see, because let me tell you something. There was a time on this show, we was weekly and we was bashing the ever-loving hell out of Mitch Trubisky. It seemed like he just never had confidence to throw anything more than curl routes. But now we see why. If you get him in a system that trusts him and wants to play towards his abilities, because he's no scrub, but he has ability. But if you have a coach that wants to play to it, it could be a game changer. That's why I truly believe the New York Giants are the perfect spot for Mitchell Trubisky, because regardless if you have mediocre 1 and mediocre 2, there's going to be one of the mediocres that's going to outplay the other one.
Yep. So
if you want to keep a familiarity with the system and think that he is going to be somebody that can push Daniel Jones and not just compete, why not? Why not? He may get starter money, so that's going to be a very, very big determination. Whether it be the Giants or whether it be the Colts, the Saints, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, it's going to be a big determination of what kind of money he gets, because that'll be a real determining factor of how the organization sees him and how much he will be competing for a starting job.
Yeah. So if you had to make a guess right now, would you say Giants for Mr. Trubisky? Because you've also kind of convinced me to that. And I think that I think at this point, the Giants organization does not believe in Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is not Dable's guy, and that's fine. Like it's a new regime. It sucks for Daniel Jones. I don't know where he'll end up. I'm sure he'll be a backup somewhere eventually. But and the thing that I'm sure people are going to spin it to is, oh, Mitch knows how to handle the big market media, and that's perfect. He'll walk right into the Big Apple and be fine. And it just, I'm intrigued. I don't think I've ever been this on the edge of my seat for the quarterback carousel. Really, just the NFL like free agency period coming up in the draft in years, honestly, because there's at least 5 or 6 moves at the quarterback position that still have to be made.
I would say this is probably last year for me, and probably the past 2 years, because last year.
Okay, valid. No, valid. That's valid. Yeah.
Yeah, especially in 2020, because the rumblings were there that they didn't pick up Trubisky's option, so it was like, okay, are they gonna have him compete? Are they gonna have him? What are they gonna do with them, basically?
Mm-hmm.
And then with the next season, they didn't sign him back, and then Andy Dalton came in and just like, okay, well, we're not in a good position to draft any top flight quarterback, so I wonder what's going to happen. So it's good. I'm not gonna lie, it's very, very good and very pleasing. We're not a part of that this season, but I am curious for the other teams. But I think the team that I'm keeping my eye on the most, well, 2, is New Orleans and Pittsburgh.
Yeah, because Pittsburgh legitimately, in my opinion, is a quarterback away. Like,
yeah,
they are. I mean, they have a great defense. They have arguably a top 3 defense. Not even arguably. I think it's pretty easy to say they have a top 3 defensive player anchoring that with TJ Watt. They have a great young running back, Najee Harris. Their receivers are still. I mean, Deontay Johnson can't catch. Chase Claypool is obsessed with TikTok, and then I think Juju is a free agent, if I'm wrong.
he is a free agent.
And then Freiermuth ended up being a pretty good rookie tight end last year. So, I mean, they had the pieces. Tough division, don't get me wrong, but very interesting to see how things are going to shake up. But to less exciting news, Major League Baseball has canceled 2 more series because the Players Association and the owners cannot come to an agreement. And I really, really, really want to stay on the side of the players. I do. But after seeing, granted, I don't know how much we could trust this at this point, the numbers that people keep floating out, and the minimum of salary now going up to $700,000. The players wanting, I think it was $725 or something, and the owners came up a good amount, and they still didn't come to terms with it. But then they probably would have signed the agreement, and we would have had spring training start within the next few days. But the league just had to throw in that there was going to be an international draft now, which completely fucks international players. Like, complete and utterly fucks them. And what do you know? Major League Baseball just keeps shooting itself in the foot. What else is new?
I don't think I can add on to what you just said. The international draft is just so demeaning and tone deaf. It is completely tone. Let me tell you something. Do people realize how important the international aspect of baseball is, and how the way it was set up was so perfect for them? And now, because these players already have to go through obstacles to even make it to the United States of America.
Yeah.
Let's think about that for a second. They have to chase their dream and live. The owners and players don't have the best relationship, and guess what? Football's still king. Baseball has been fighting for its life to still be named the America's pastime, and stuff like this keeps coming up. And let's be real, they've lost that name a long time ago. And at this point, they're not getting it back. Because let me tell you something. Kids are like, why are they fighting? Adults like us are like, well, just get a fucking deal done. We don't care about just get a deal done. And then you have the older people who live, breathe, and die with baseball. I listen to sports talk radio daily, and there are people who are saying, I will never go back to another baseball game. And a lot of factors play into it, ticket pricing, travel, all that. But this is the icing on the cake with them. Think about that. With everything baseball has been ashamed of, whether it be steroids, sticky stuff, cheating with the Astros, this is their breaking point because games are not being canceled. Games are now being canceled. And I'll take it a deeper route. With 2020, there's baseball fans that don't believe in COVID. They don't believe in COVID. And they had a COVID shortened season and they were still locked in for it. But this is where they draw the line. Baseball's in trouble, man.
Yeah.
Baseball's in trouble. And let me tell you something. I do not foresee this getting done anytime soon, as bad as that sounds. And it hurts me to say it because, damn it, I saw last time I saw my Cardinals on the field, they got walked off in a damn wild card game. I want to see if they can actually reach their full potential, but I can't do that. Hell, your White Sox are World Series contenders. World Series contenders, and the rug is literally being pulled from under them. That's got to be frustrating.
It's every conversation I've had with my uncles, my dad, my older cousins. My dad just keeps saying, it feels like 94. It feels like 94 when they had the strike. Frank Thomas was in the middle of an MVP season for the Sox. The Sox were the best team in the American League. It looked like they were on a collision course with the Expos to go to the World Series. And I'm not saying the White Sox were the World Series, the AL favorite. I'm not even going to say they were the AL favorite, but they're a top 2-3 team in the AL right now at this point easily. You have all their young talent finally getting healthy after last year being banged up. You have all this talent finally reach, like, just it's there. It's literally right there. That poster up there, I bought that from a kid on Twitter. It says Return to the South Side. I bought it 3-4 years ago. It has Dylan Cease on there, Moncada, Nick Madrigal, RIP. You're on the Cubs now. It sucks. It had Eloy on there, Abreu, Tim Anderson, all these guys. I want nothing more than Jose Abreu to hoist a fucking World Series trophy because that man has earned it more than any athlete in Chicago, in my opinion, to raise a world championship trophy. What he's done for the White Sox. We mentioned it with the international player draft. Abreu was the best player in Cuba when he was there. Mm-hmm. When he defected, he had to eat his passport on the plane, so there was no proof of who he was, and they could not send him back. That's what their players are fighting for at this point, is to, like, these guys are trying to come here to avoid shit like that. And a draft is going to make them less money. There's going to be less guarantees and just less opportunity. I don't understand.
And a slower track to the MLB too.
Yep, absolutely. And and these guys, these international guys, there's a reason a lot of these international, at least Latino players, sign with a lot of the same organizations year after year. There's a reason the White Sox dominate this market so much, is because the culture the franchise has built and support system that they've built, it goes all the way back. If you want to put the White Sox, it goes as far back as Minnie Minoso, way back in the day, with that Latino culture. But in more recent times, you have Jose Contreras, who really, really bridged that Dominican gap with the White Sox. And you have all these Dominican guys becoming White Sox fans because of Jose Contreras, and all these guys want to come play for the White Sox. And now you have to think guys like Eloy Jimenez, guys like Luis Robert, Moncada, he's Cuban, but all these young Latinos on the White Sox, players are going to want to come play with them. And that, in the long run, screws them. I mean, it screws a lot of teams. I mean, I don't know if this draft, I'm assuming this draft is going to include Japanese players as well. And they can just stay in Japan and make more money than they would with these deals. I don't understand it.
You know what the crazy thing is? Japanese players make way more than any player from Dominican Republic, Cuba, Venezuela. They make, because I think MLB has more like insight on who they are, and they can watch film and stuff like that. We didn't even talk about the Japanese aspect. Why in the world I will go over Japan, hit about 300 home runs to come to the MLB, get drafted, and get put in a double A? They sleep in places that not even beds. Why in the hell would I want to stay there? Like that. The players gotta do better. This is ridiculous. It just, like, you describing how Abreu had to defect from Cuba is infuriating. That this is the reality. This is their reality. They have to do so much to defect, and you want to keep that for what? For what? What is there to gain out of that? I don't understand it.
It's frustrating. That's the only way to put it. Fans are hungry for it. I mean, and they're continuing to just push the young fans further and further and further away. Because if you really think about it, when baseball starts in March, end of March, beginning of April, it's right at the end of March Madness. NBA playoffs aren't a thing yet. NHL playoffs aren't a thing yet. Fans are fully invested in baseball at that point.
Yeah.
MLB is losing out on that because by the time baseball's back, let's be honest, it's probably going to be right in the heat of NBA playoffs, and people are going to be paying more attention to the NBA playoffs than they are this third week of the MLB regular season. Because there's not going to be 162 games this year if there even is a season, but it's mind blowing. And I know people want to bash on Rob Manfred, and I rightfully so. I mean, I understand it. But you have to understand why Major League Baseball hired him to be the commissioner. He was the best labor litigation lawyer on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And he's doing a pretty damn good job for his league, for who he's representing at this point. And you can't get mad at the guy for doing his job, but I still am. I still am. And he's trying to act in best interest of the league. I understand that at the end of the day. But when are these guys, old, out of touch men, gonna realize that acting in the best interest of the league means putting the product on the field and not wasting the primes of Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani, Vlad Jr., Fernando Tatis, Juan Soto, all these guys, Jacob deGrom. You're taking away. Kids fall in love with players like that just from going to the ballpark one time, and you're taking away from lifelong fandom because you're going to argue over $25,000, wherever the hell it is.
I got nothing. It's
and both sides are to blame at this point. I don't want to put no blame on the players because it does seem like they're unwilling to budge on a few things. And I understand that. Like, I understand you want to stand your ground, union strong. I get it. I do. But you have to make some compromises if you want to earn your paycheck. And I know you're fighting for more money, and I don't think any of these guys are absolutely destroyed by not getting that paycheck, but you have to think about the relievers that bounce in between team to team, getting waived and optioned and DFA'd. And you just have to think about those guys. The guy who's 0-2 with a 12 ERA in 3 innings. Like, those are the guys you're fighting for at this point. And I don't think that the players are setting themselves up for success when you have your lead guy in labor relations arguments, negotiations, is Max Scherzer, who's making over $40 million. He's the top 1% of the league. And I actually listened to an interview with Ian Happ of the Cubs, I think last week. And he's like been one of the big labor representatives for the Players Association, and a lot smarter of a dude than I would have anticipated. And he said they've been working hours upon hours upon hours, and the league's unable to compromise. And like, all I kept thinking was, are you going to compromise at all? Like, as bad as it sounds, like, I want to be on the players' sides. I do. Because if you really think about it, people are like, oh, it's millionaires versus billionaires. We're a lot closer to the billionaires than the millionaires are to the billionaires, if we
That
really
is
want to
true.
think about it like that. And
Yeah.
it's just, it's a shame because sport we love doesn't love us back at
That's
this
simple.
point.
It's that simple.
And it's a shame. Hopefully, I mean, it looked like last night that we were on the road towards the deal getting done, and then obviously nothing happened because they threw the international draft in there. But hey, at least we banned the shift and made wider bases. I mean, I get.
Well, I guess one of my favorite Cardinals, Matt Carpenter, can really benefit from that. So yeah. Whenever baseball comes back, I'll take it back on a 1-year deal.
Yeah, I just Joey Gallo probably gonna end up winning the AL MVP now because.
All right.
But yeah, I just it makes me sad thinking about it. But on a more joyful note, I guess we could say, I just got the notification on my phone. Jeff Hardy is all elite officially in AEW. It's been teased for weeks, and he's officially there. And let's see how long it takes for him to kill himself, because I'm sure he feels like he has something to prove at this point. So I'm not sure how much AEW you watch, some brief wrestling right now, but the product is better than WWE at this point. Like I will say that, but the reason I still have my reservations about AEW is the fan base, man. They just think it's the best thing since sliced bread. And don't get me wrong, it is a better wrestling product than the WWE is right now. No ifs, ands, or ors about it. It is. But it's like, I want to enjoy it, but you can't, because everything is like, people say that WWE fans let AEW fans live in their head, but it's the opposite way around, man. It really, really is. And it's just,
I'm glad you brought this up. I'm so glad.
And I feel like Twitter and online is finally starting to come to that realization too. And it just like makes me happy to realize that I'm not the only one. Cause I mean, I wasn't around or old enough to remember the Monday Night Wars, the tail end of the Monday Night Wars. I wasn't old enough to remember that. And this is not at this level yet. It's nowhere near the level.
No, it's not.
And I don't know if you, I watched it. I don't ever really watch his show, but I watched the Pat McAfee show last week when he had on Vince McMahon. And Vince acknowledged that AEW was competition. He did, which I don't think a lot of people expected to hear him say.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, there's still a huge discrepancy when it comes to, yeah, Tony Khan probably has more money than Vince McMahon at this point. But talk to me when AEW is a publicly traded company.
Let me ask you a question, Ben, before I go on a rant, because a rant's coming.
Okay.
Ask you a question. What do you want to be known as? A professional wrestler or a WWE superstar?
Hey, I'll tell you this, WWE superstar, end of the day, sounds a lot better than a professional wrestler.
Listen, I understand that people are in love with the art of professional wrestling. I am in love with the art of professional wrestling, but also understand that the entertainment part is why WWE is as big as it is.
Yep.
That's why, and you know what? I got even better point. Entertainment value is why you AEW fans got in wrestling in the first place. So cut the shit, because y'all think AEW fans think that they invented wrestling, and that bothers me to no end, because let's be honest about something. NXT was the father of that shit, and then y'all hoarded their talent, and now y'all think it's AEW made. No, it's not. It never was. So stop it. Stop the shit. So I'm always gonna be a WWE guy. I like AEW, and this was a tweet that someone made earlier. AEW is really good at what they do, but it doesn't mean it's a company for me.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I'm not gonna sit here and bash the company because they don't have my brand of professional wrestling. I don't give a shit. I watch wrestling for the enjoyment of myself. Yeah. I don't watch for the enjoyment of those people who are going to cheer a guy 1 week, and then let's say a couple of months go by, they're gonna boo him for whatever reason. wrestling fans are the worst people on this planet, and I hate the fact that
You're,
I identify as one
you're so true,
because
man. It's so
I like,
true.
oh my lord, these people wake up and just type on their little phone saying NXT 2.0 sucks. They got so many colors in their logo. Tommaso Ciampa is not champion anymore. This company sucks. Just say you don't like it because it's not full of indie darlings. Just say that. I'll understand more. You're wrong, but I'll still understand it more. And Raw and SmackDown are far from perfect, but I guarantee you, you watch Raw, you watch SmackDown, you watch NXT, you watch Dynamite, you watch Rampage,
You
and
watch
guess what?
Impact. You're watching Impact too.
You can watch Impact, and you know what they'll all have in common? You will complain about at least one thing on the show. So guess what? No wrestling company is perfect. Just watch what you want to watch and stop trying to get people to like what you like. Who gives a damn about what people think? Who gives a damn about what people like? Who cares? Stop it. Wrestling is so unenjoyable because of you people. And I want to just send y'all on an island so I can never watch wrestling again and go outside, touch grass, touch sand, whatever the fuck you want to touch. I don't care about your opinion about wrestling. What are you going to get a girlfriend? Are you going to get a boyfriend? Tell me that.
Oh God. So
Jesus Christ.
in the past week, though, I will say there are two wrestling story, or I will say three wrestling storylines that have really, really caught my eye, though. Number one being William Regal's debut in AEW.
That was cool.
That I think that that's going to lead to a monster faction with Bryan Danielson, Jon Moxley. They're going to have a couple young guys in there. I think I don't know exactly who it'll be. I'm sure if I watched AEW on a weekly basis, I'm sure I would know, but I don't watch on a weekly basis. I pay attention, but I couldn't tell you. But William Regal is going to do a lot for AEW, and I still can't believe WWE let him walk and cut him. I that one still will make no sense to me. Number two, the WWE is going to pay a fuckload of money to bring MJF in whenever his AEW contract is up, because he is, I think, 24 years old, and he is legitimately, I will say, a top two heel in professional wrestling. And number one being Roman Reigns, with how fucking good he's become at his job. And number three, Vince McMahon struck gold with Braun Breaker.
Absolutely.
He really did, man. He really did. And to the people bitching about Braun Breaker losing his NXT title in a triple threat match with Dolph Ziggler and Ciampa last night, where Breaker didn't even take the pinfall, guess what? That's going to lead to an NXT title match at WrestleMania with Ziggler.
It's almost like people have never watched wrestling before. They don't know what long-term storytelling is.
And guess what? Like, oh, Vince doesn't want to build new stars. Guess what? Book it right now. Braun Breaker will be the one to beat Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship in a year or two.
Also,
it's a year or two away, but it's going to happen.
You know what's funny? They say they don't make stars. Guess what? Mandy Rose has did a complete 180 in her career. She is awesome at what she does. They've built up Cora Jade. They got the tag team division in NXT is pretty damn good.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't get to the best part. Carmelo Hayes is a star. He is a star. And you know what? I saw a tweet and I was like, maybe not. He has outgrown NXT. He is that damn good. Yep. And you know what? If this is why representation in WWE really matters, because I remember I saw a video, and this was a wrestling club, a predominantly Black kids, and they was watching him, and they were genuinely into him wrestling. That is what really, 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 really matters. And you saw the impact when guys like Kofi won a championship, Bobby Lashley won a championship, Big E. Carmelo Hayes could be right there and probably better than all three of them, with all due respect to them, because they're awesome. But Carmelo Hayes is a star. And I hope if he loses the North American Championship and Stand and Deliver, sure. But he'll be right back for that. He's going to go for the NXT title. He's going to go for the NXT title. So I'm not worried about that. But they struck gold with both him and Braun Breaker, stars. And by the way, also, LA Knight is over as a motherfucker.
He will debut on Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania, and
Yes,
he will challenge for the United States Championship with Finn Balor the night after WrestleMania. I think,
and that's the thing. He is awesome because he can play both roles. I don't know if people remember him as Eli Drake on Impact Wrestling. He was damn good.
Yeah.
He was damn good. And then you got him in WWE. It's like, and this is crazy comparison. It's like when the rock music hits on a 2000 episode of Monday Night Raw. When LA Knight's music hits, that whole arena go crazy. Like, he is over. He is over as hell. And you know what? He's a perfect fit for the main roster. I know Vince is gonna love him.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Absolutely adore him.
Oh yeah. And
yeah.
I will say right now is honestly the most optimistic I have felt about WWE in a long time, as crazy as that sounds. I think that the tag team divisions, I love tag team wrestling. I think the tag team divisions on all three brands are as strong as they've been probably in a long time. I love that they're not breaking up RK Bro because, in my opinion,
I thought it was coming.
Oh, so did I. I thought there was going to be a banger of a match at WrestleMania between the two of them, but I hope they do like some sort of tornado tag or ladder match or something between those three teams at WrestleMania again.
Yeah,
well,
I agree.
Not anymore because it's Kevin Owens and Stone Cold, but I would love to see some other third team inserted into that, whoever that may be. But I just I don't want to say it's a good time to be a WWE fan because I know people are still upset, but things are they're looking up.
They're trending upwards.
They're trending upwards. I think I'm genuinely looking forward to see how they take Roman Reigns and Brock. I mean, I think it's safe to say that Roman wins, but
I don't know. I'm not sure yet.
The only way he loses is if The Rock screws him over. That is the only scenario I see because that would be a Vince McMahon thing to do, to build up Roman for almost 600 days, have him not eat a pinfall in that entire time, not lose it all, only to lose to Brock Lesnar when that rub should be going to building a star. We all said it was going to be Big E, which I thought it still should have been. But it's going to be Braun Breaker. I genuinely think it will be Braun Breaker at this point.
They're gonna build him up. It's gonna be the most beautiful thing ever.
And I know it'll never happen, but holy shit, would I love it if Scott Steiner came back, was his manager, his uncle.
Oh man, I just
and obviously Scott Steiner is very on the record saying that he would not come back to WWE. He hates Vince McMahon, he hates Triple H, hates Stephanie McMahon. And I don't know if that's WWE not letting him go by the Steiner name, but he needs to change from Braun Breaker. I get his first name is Bronson. His real first name is Bronson.
Yeah.
Doesn't Braun Steiner sound a little bit better?
Braun Steiner would be perfect because not for nothing, I believe WWE showed the clip of Rick Steiner.
Yeah, him and his dad hugging after he won the title.
Acknowledge Rick Steiner. So I mean, at the very least, you can have him use the last name, even though you don't really are fond of the other Steiner, but you can use it. They can work around that.
Yeah, there's no excuse for him to be Braun Breaker when he had. Everyone knows. I mean, look at him. He looks just like the two of them. I mean, like I'm not even joking you. My dad was just scrolling through Facebook the other day, and he saw something on Facebook. One of his buddies shared a picture of Braun Breaker and like something along the lines of like, went back in the time machine, Steiners are back. And they didn't even know that they were related to the Steiners. No idea. My dad's like, man, these guys looks like the Steiners, because my dad was watching wrestling in the 90s. And I go, yeah, that's the son and nephew. And my dad was like, holy shit, I'm old.
My dad would have loved Braun Breaker. He was a big Steiner fan, big Scott Steiner fan. He would have loved them. He would have loved them.
He's gonna make Vince McMahon a lot of money, and I think we'll go wrestling heavy show next week because
we should.
That was a good end to the show right there. Just want to say thank you if you made it this far. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to the show, and we will be back next week. Thank you.
Peace.